everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. It really is great to have you back with us, and as you'll see from my garb, it is freezing here in Johannesburg where I am. And part of what really gets to me in the winter is when it's really, really chilly and the sun rises later in the morning and I'm freezing and I have to get out of bed and I have to be motivated and go ahead and motivate other people and keep us going through the day. And it's set me down a little bit of a quest around how do I, what is this thing? Is it discipline? Is it consistency? What is this thing that I have to harness in order to get myself up and get going in the mornings and keep everyone at work and at my clients going with me? And that is how we came across the topic that we are starting this week called self-leadership. Now, self-leadership is quite interesting because it's not a term that we hear often. We just use traditional leadership, the kind of I go in and I have a position of authority or power, and therefore I get other people to do things within the organization, or I align their tasks, their work, whatever that is. We're used to leading others, but I don't know how often we think about what it means to lead ourselves, which in essence is what self-leadership is about. So if we take a look at a bit of a definition around it, self-leadership is the practice of intentionally influencing your thinking, your feeling, and your actions towards your objectives. So what that means is I'm making a concerted effort to make sure that whatever it is that needs to get done, I am influencing myself by taking responsibility for myself and what I need to do. So how do we see this show up in our lives? Well, there are three things really. The firstly is about initiating a behavior. So I get up and I start my day. Maintaining, this repetition of events, whatever that may be, and then making sure that there's growth. So I don't just maintain, I don't just make it day after day after day. I also make sure that there's some form of growth. So these self-influencing behaviors form part of continuous improvement as well, not just maintenance. So there are a couple of things that we need in order to be able to self-lead. And it's kind of interesting because when I was working through this, I kept on coming from the leadership of others' perspective. And it makes so much sense now that I was like, sure, it's actually, it's really interesting the way that it helps us think about ourselves. The first one is self-awareness. So this is about understanding our strengths, our weaknesses, our values, our motivations. Really understanding who am I, what works for me, what doesn't, what triggers me, what doesn't, what like really empowers me, what makes me feel energized, what makes me happy, what deflates me. And once we understand what those triggers are, we can't just go around going, oh, well, it's not motivating, so I'm not going to do it. So what we need is the second aspect, which is self-regulation. And self-regulation is around really managing emotions and thoughts and behaviors in different situations. So when I know I'm going to be speaking to a coaching client, I'm incredibly motivated. I'm incredibly excited to be going into the session. And then when I have to do like admin and follow-up work, then I get depleted. That I really don't enjoy. But I have to regulate. I have to self-regulate because I can't afford to not do it just because I'm not enthusiastic about it or that it doesn't inspire me. The third thing is self-motivation. And this is about cultivating intrinsic motivation to achieve your goals. So, for example, sometimes when it's tough for me to get out of bed, I put on my favorite playlist that's got like music with lots of good beats. And that keeps me motivated. But that's actually external motivation, right? Well, not really, because you see what happens is I choose to do it using something outside of myself, the playlist that's on my phone or whatever. But music is very, very close to my heart. So I am intrinsically motivated to hear that sound. I want to hear that music. I want to feel that energy. I want to get moving. And then that has the happy spin off of I am now also going to be doing what I'm meant to be doing, like get out of bed and get the day going. And then the fourth aspect is around self-monitoring. And that's ensuring that you stay on track by holding yourself accountable. So yes, we can do all these wonderful things. I can get out of bed and I can do what is motivating to me. But I've got to make sure that I hold myself accountable, that I'm not only doing the things that are motivating to me that I enjoy, but also some of that stuff, self-regulation kicks in, right? And so those four aspects are really key to self-leadership and making sure that we get the best out of ourselves every day so that we can go and take over the world. So why is self-leadership important? Well, not just is it about how you come across, how credible you are, how trustworthy you are as a person, but when we get to leading others, our effective self-leadership is a foundation to leading others and showing them what's expected. What does the role model do? And it also goes as far as helping to set the bar for them to understand what is expected of them. So I'm really excited about the next couple of weeks. We're going to take a look at a whole variety of aspects around self-leadership. But I'm also going to be including in the show notes a little assessment that you can go and do if you would like to find out how strong your self-leadership is. And in that link, you will log on, you will, in that link, there will be, welcome, Innocent. It's been a long time, hasn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to provide you with a little assessment that you can do to see how your self-leadership matches or levels up. And that link will be inserted in the show notes below. And what you can do is before our next video is released, pop around there, go and complete that assessment. And then we will see you next time when we talk about a little bit more of the benefits of self-leadership for yourself as a person. So that's where we're leaving self-leadership for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that you're as excited about this as I am. I really look forward to seeing you at the next couple of episodes of self-leadership. If you've enjoyed this episode, we also convert them to blogs, and you can find those and the videos on performforward.com. Where every time we have released a video, we also convert it into a blog for your ease of use. And then I look forward to seeing you next week at the following Performance Cafe. Goodbye.